Have you ever noticed how the men who follow every rule often lose, while the ones who break none of them still walk away with the advantage? It's one of the most confusing contradictions in modern dating. You can do everything right and still feel like the game is being played on a different board. That's because it is. Harvard didn't approach this with opinions or ideology. They analyzed it. 10,000 women, behavioral patterns, unconscious preferences, reactions that bypass what sounds fair and go straight to what feels true. And what emerged from the data was uncomfortable, but precise. Attraction is governed by forces far older than social rules, far colder than romantic ideals. Not what people say they want, what they respond to. What surfaced was a silent structure of desire, a hierarchy of presence, status, emotional gravity, and inner authority that operates whether we acknowledge it or not. No scripts, no fantasies, just instinct, selection, and power dynamics playing out in real time. The Stoics understood this long before laboratories and statistics. They taught that most suffering comes from mistaking how the world should work for how it actually does. Marcus Aurelius spoke of stripping away illusion. Epictetus spoke of mastering perception so that no external force, not even desire itself, could destabilize your center. The man who sees clearly does not beg, does not chase, does not bargain for worth. He stands rooted while others orbit. And once you start to see attraction through this lens, something irreversible happens. You stop performing. You stop negotiating your value. You stop trying to be chosen. You begin to embody a presence that doesn't seek. It filters. Quiet, grounded, scarce. If this already resonates, if you've felt these patterns without ever having language for them, then stay with me. Like the video, leave a comment, share it with someone who's still confused by the surface story. Because what we're about to break down isn't comfortable, it's accurate. The hidden truth behind female attraction, revealed by Harvard's massive study. Let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself. Have you ever felt like attraction just stopped making sense? You did everything they told you to do. You were calm, respectful, consistent. You showed interest without being needy. You listened. You gave attention. You played the good man role perfectly. And still, she drifted. Not with drama, not with a fight, just slowly, quietly, like smoke slipping through your fingers. That moment right there, that confusion, that's not bad luck. That's not timing. That's a signal you were never taught how to read. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Harvard didn't speculate about this. They measured it, at scale. 10,000 women, patterns, repetitions, contradictions between what was said and what was actually chosen. What came out of that data shattered the polite narrative about attraction. It wasn't about kindness. It wasn't about effort. It wasn't even about words. It was about something older, colder, more primitive. The Stoics would call it seeing reality without illusion, not as you wish it to be, but as it is. Marcus Aurelius warned that most men suffer not from events, but from the stories they tell themselves about how things should work. Epictetus spoke about understanding human nature as a strategist studies terrain, not to complain, but to move with precision, because attraction doesn't operate on morality, it operates on signals, and most men are blind to them. What makes her feel pulled toward one man and emotionally vanish from another? The study didn't guess, it answered, and the answer wasn't comfortable. The women didn't always articulate what they felt, but their behavior told the truth, consistently, ruthlessly. Patterns emerged, subconscious loops, automatic responses to certain masculine frames, certain emotional signatures, certain expressions of internal authority. Not looks, not lines, presence, control, status, energy, direction. That's when the researchers stopped calling it preference and started calling it what it really is: hardwired selection. Understand this clearly. You are being evaluated, constantly. Not by her rational mind, by her biology. Her nervous system is scanning for dominance cues, emotional gravity, inner stability. The man who is not seeking approval but granting or withholding it. Think about that. All this time you thought being nice was the entry ticket. In reality, sexual selection works on a different frequency. You're either aligned with her instinctive desire, or you're invisible. And Harvard's data confirmed it, coldly, precisely, without mercy. Imagine this for a second. Two men walk into the same room. One starts talking right away. Filling the air, trying to be noticed. The other barely says a word, but somehow, he owns the space. His posture is relaxed, his eye contact is steady, his presence is calm, grounded, unbothered. Before a single sentence leaves his mouth, women have already felt him. Now ask yourself honestly, which one do you think they're watching? Attraction isn't about noise, it's about authority. That silent inner signal that says, I don't need you to like me, I'm already centered in myself. The Harvard data showed something most men don't want to hear. One trait separated the men who consistently triggered desire from the ones stuck in the validation loop. Not looks, not money, not clever lines, behavioral frame, how you move, how you react, how you handle uncertainty. Are you calm under pressure? Or do you start over-explaining, over-investing, over-qualifying yourself? She'll never say it directly, but her nervous system reads it instantly. The men who got results weren't flawless. They weren't perfect communicators. They weren't always alpha in the cartoon sense. But they had one rare thing: self-mastery. They didn't crumble when things didn't go their way. They didn't chase when energy pulled back. They didn't negotiate their value in the hope of being chosen. The Stoics would recognize this immediately. Seneca spoke about the man who is sovereign over himself being impossible to enslave, not by fear, not by pleasure, not by the approval of others. That inner sovereignty. Women feel it, not consciously, instinctively. And here's the part most guys miss. These men weren't born like this. They forged it, through discomfort, through rejection, through stripping away illusions about how attraction should work, and facing how it actually works. That's what this study really exposed. Not just a brutal truth, but a map, a path out of confusion, out of frustration, into alignment with masculine polarity, where you stop trying to be chosen and start being the one who chooses. And you've probably noticed the paradox already. The harder you try to impress her, the colder she becomes. That's not coincidence. The data showed a clear pattern. When a man overinvests emotionally too early, the power balance collapses. Why? Because it signals that she has become the center of your world, above your mission, above your direction, above your inner order. And the moment that happens, her subconscious downgrades you. Not out of cruelty, out of instinct. That's how attraction dies. Not through mistakes, but through misplaced focus. Women aren't confused. Men are. Women are simply responding to triggers that are consistent, measurable, and ancient. Her interest doesn't rise when you text more, when you compliment more, when you prove more. It rises when she senses scarcity, when she feels that your approval is not free, when your sense of self is so grounded that it cannot be negotiated. That's the frequency attraction responds to. Cold, stable, unmoved. This is where male psychology has to evolve, from appeasement to grounded authority. The men who triggered the strongest reactions in the study weren't loud. They weren't peacocking. They weren't trying to impress. They were calm, centered, present. They weren't chasing. They were choosing. And that shift in energy, it lights up the female nervous system like a signal flare. The researchers called it non-verbal assertion of self. We know it by a simpler name: masculine frame, quiet strength. Not dominance over her, dominance over your own inner world, your space, your emotions, your direction. The Stoics built their entire philosophy around this. Inner sovereignty. A man who rules himself cannot be ruled by desire, fear, or the need for validation. He becomes, in Marcus Aurelius's words, a fortress, calm on the outside, unshakable on the inside. And that kind of man doesn't chase attention. Attention comes to him. This is what turned attraction from confusing chaos into a readable pattern. But let's be brutally honest. Most men are trained to be attractive in ways that don't actually trigger desire. You're taught to be agreeable, emotionally available on demand, always accommodating, but evolution never rewarded that by default. The female brain is still wired to scan for status, leadership, decisiveness, not performance, presence. That's why a man deeply committed to his own path often becomes magnetic without trying. His life becomes the center of gravity. The woman is no longer the goal, she's a witness, and that reverses the entire power dynamic. Let me make this real. Marcus, 31, graphic designer, sharp, respectful, good heart, and invisible. He planned dates, bought gifts, not invisible. He planned dates, bought gifts, sent good morning texts like clockwork, did everything right, got nothing back. Then he was exposed to a different framework, one rooted in male development, polarity, and psychological reality. He stopped over-investing, started saying no, set boundaries, withdrew attention that had been flowing freely. Within weeks, women who had barely noticed him before started reaching out, not because he became someone else, but because he stopped tolerating being undervalued. That was the first shift, self-mastery. He realized his attention had been cheap, and it had been treated accordingly. The moment he redirected that energy back to his mission, his standards, his inner order, the room changed. The way people looked at him changed. The way women felt around him changed. That wasn't manipulation. That was alignment. He stopped leaking value. And when a man embodies his own standards, he exits the validation trap for good. That's when options appear. Not fantasies, real options. This is where the line is drawn. The men who win long-term don't memorize scripts. They master emotional control. They understand that female attraction doesn't respond to logic or reassurance. It responds to tension, to edge, to the presence of a man who does not need, but can choose. That difference is not intellectual. It's visceral, primal. It creates a level of desire even she can't fully articulate. And the Harvard study didn't just hint at this, it quantified it. Out there in real interactions, across thousands of real moments, real dates, real rooms, one pattern kept repeating. There is something unsettlingly powerful about a man who doesn't flinch in silence, who doesn't rush to fill space with words, who can sit in stillness without needing to perform. That presence creates a kind of gravitational pull most men don't even know they're capable of generating. The study showed something counterintuitive. The peak attraction moments didn't happen when the conversation was loud, funny, or impressive. They happened in the pauses, in the seconds of quiet, where his energy stayed grounded, where his nervous system didn't seek approval, where he didn't lean forward emotionally. That's masculine frame in its purest form. Calm under nothing happening, centered when there's no feedback. The Stoics built this into their way of life, the ability to remain composed in uncertainty, to not be pulled by impulse, anxiety, or the need to be validated. A man who governs his inner state becomes, as they said, a citadel, and that inner stability is felt before it's ever understood. This kind of confidence can't be faked. It's not volume, it's immovability. And here's the part most men miss. What makes a man truly attractive has very little to do with the woman in front of him. It's the life he's building without her, his discipline, his focus, his standards, his mission. Harvard's data showed a clear pattern. Women were consistently drawn to men whose lives did not revolve around pursuit, but around direction. Men who weren't trying to be chosen, because they were too busy choosing their path. That creates a psychological contrast that ignites something ancient: selection instincts, status, recognition, polarity. And now comes the part that stings. If you keep showing up confused, resentful, over-invested, trying to prove your worth, you've already lost. Not because you're inferior, but because you're playing by rules that were never explained to you. The Stoics would say you're suffering not from women, but from false judgments about how the world works. And once a man replaces illusion with clarity, his entire posture in life changes. That's what this breakdown is for. Not to comfort you, to arm you. So you stop bleeding energy. So you stop being the man she feels safe with, but never desires. So you step out of the validation economy and into self-rule. Quick pause. If this is making sense to you, comment this phrase right now. Frame over validation. Just that. I want to see how many of you are starting to understand that attraction isn't about chasing. It's about holding your ground. Think about how many guys you've seen go through this. Everything feels good. The vibe is right. She's engaged, responsive, warm. Then out of nowhere, she pulls back. Texts slow down. Energy shifts. And the man starts spiraling, rereading messages, replaying dates, asking himself, what did I say wrong? But here's the part no one wants to face. It's usually not what you said. It's what you signaled. Most men, without realizing it, broadcast low-status cues, subtle neediness, emotional overexposure, a quiet lack of inner authority, and she feels it instantly, not in her logic, in her nervous system, in her gut. Before she can even explain it to herself, the attraction has already dropped. That's when confusion hits the man. But the decision has already been made. This is where male development changes the entire game, because the high-value man doesn't panic when energy shifts. He doesn't chase. He doesn't plead. He recalibrates. He adjusts his inner compass, instead of begging for external validation. The Stoics called this returning to the ruling faculty, back to the part of you that observes instead of reacts. That holds form under pressure. That doesn't collapse emotionally when reality stops rewarding you. Most men were never taught that women don't just respond to what you do for them. They respond to what you are rooted in. Your silence, your stillness, your boundaries, your willingness to walk away without resentment. That's masculine polarity. She can't always name it, but she can feel when it's there and when it's gone. And no, you can't fake it, but you can forge it daily, deliberately, through discipline, discomfort, and self-confrontation. Because let's be honest, school didn't teach you self-command. Culture taught you to perform. Media taught you to chase. No one taught you how to stand firm in rejection, how to feel desire without losing center, how to hold your standards when your emotions want to bargain. But now the patterns are visible. Studies like Harvard's didn't just expose attraction, they mapped behavior. And the first thing that destroys everything is something most men don't even notice: self-betrayal. Every time you silence your standards to keep her, every time you ignore your gut to avoid losing access, every time you tolerate what you know you shouldn't, that's not emotional intelligence. That's the quiet collapse of your masculine frame, and women feel that collapse, not consciously, viscerally. It disrupts the attraction circuitry they're wired with, not because they're cruel, but because their biology demands congruence. The data made this painfully clear. Women are tuned to detect inconsistency, not perfection, coherence. When your words don't match your energy, when your presence lacks grounded depth, when your approval is easy to obtain, her instincts register instability, and instinctively, she withdraws, even if she can't explain why. But here's where everything flips. The moment you step into emotional control, the moment your actions come from purpose instead of hunger, her curiosity wakes up. You stop being predictable, you stop being easy to read, and without trying, you start becoming magnetic. Try this once, and watch what happens. The next time a woman tests you, pulls back, takes longer to reply, throws subtle disrespect, don't flinch, don't chase, don't explain, just observe. Stay calm, stay grounded, let her feel your stillness. Because the truth is never revealed in your words, it's revealed in your composure, not in your justifications, not in your emotional speeches, but in your dominance cues. Not dominance over her, dominance over your own need for her. That is the strongest signal a man can ever broadcast, and it costs nothing, only self-mastery. Here's the shift you'll feel almost immediately. The second you stop making her your center, you become centered. And when that happens, her behavior changes, not always to keep you, sometimes to test you, to see if this new calm is real, or just a mask that will crack the moment pressure hits. This is where men separate. The weak fall back into chasing, the strong hold the frame. This is the exact point where dating stops being about tactics and becomes about identity. Who are you when she pulls away? That answer tells her everything about your value. Let's be brutally honest. Most men only start caring about this after being ghosted by a woman they thought was different. That's when the obsession begins, replaying conversations, searching for closure, trying to understand what went wrong, but closure never comes, because attraction is not logical, it's visceral. The Harvard data made this clear. When a man lacks emotional clarity, his energy becomes chaotic, unstable, repellent. Women don't reject him out of cruelty. They reject the static, the insecurity, the internal dissonance, the subtle signals that violate natural selection. And here's the part that changes everything. It's not about fixing how she sees you. It's about fixing how you are calibrated. Her withdrawal is feedback, not punishment. She's not your enemy. She's a mirror. She reflects your inner state, whether you're conscious of it or not. The Stoics understood this deeply. They taught that external events don't disturb us. Our inner disorder does. And when a man brings order to himself, the world responds differently. This is where male psychology must mature. Stop trying to decode her moods. Start decoding your own energy. Are you aligned with your standards, with your mission, with your self-respect? Or are you still trapped in the validation economy, waiting to be chosen? You'll know you're evolving when silence no longer scares you, When you stop checking your phone, when a delayed reply doesn't shake your nervous system, that calm, that unreactive stillness, that is emotional control. And the research showed something ruthless and precise. Women are instinctively drawn to men who carry this inner quiet, not the loudest, not the flashiest, but the least disturbed by outcome. Power with restraint, presence without need. That's rare, and that's exactly why it's magnetic. Let me ask you something real. What changes when you stop seeing women as the goal and start seeing them as a reflection of the man you're becoming? That shift rewires everything. You stop chasing chemistry and start demanding compatibility. You stop accepting breadcrumbs and start requiring alignment. That's not ego, that's authority. Men who carry that inner posture don't run after attention, and ironically, they're the ones who receive it. Why? Because they broadcast status without trying. They signal stability, direction, self-command. Evolutionary psychology comes full circle right here. Women aren't consciously thinking, I need a high-status, emotionally grounded man with purpose. But their biology is. It's constantly scanning for security cues, for leadership, for coherence, for a man whose life is ordered, whose emotions are governed, whose direction is clear. Even in short-term encounters, her nervous system is asking, is this man stable? Is he centered? Is he dangerous to lose? That's why even casual flings can trigger deep emotional responses. Her system never stops assessing, and when you show up rooted in masculine polarity, she feels it before you speak. You don't calm her with words, you calm her with presence. If you've ever wondered why some men attract effortlessly while others exhaust themselves and still get ignored, this is the reason. The first group isn't chasing outcomes, they're embodying patterns, discipline, boundaries, emotional control, purpose. Harvard's data didn't point to looks, it didn't point to money, it pointed to congruence, inner alignment. Men who had nothing to prove, not perfect, but whole. That wholeness is what triggers instinctive desire, not tactics, not manipulation. Self-respect, lived out in posture, silence, decisions, standards. So what now? You stop trying to be liked. You start becoming someone who is respected. You tighten your habits. You clean your posture. You guard your time like it's blood. You build skill. You build strength. You build silence inside your mind. The Stoics would call this ruling the self before attempting to rule any outcome. A man who governs his impulses becomes ungovernable by others, and that inner order is felt by everyone around him. Read, train, work, remove weak influences, stand around men who don't let you lie to yourself. This isn't about becoming a player, it's about becoming a man with options, because he is no longer optional, because he lives with intention, because he doesn't tolerate weakness in his own behavior. And from that point on, every interaction becomes a mirror, not a test of whether she approves of you, but a test of whether you are aligned with yourself. Are you holding frame, or are you bending to keep attention? That single difference separates the man who leads from the man who follows. Harvard's research didn't just expose how women choose, it exposed where men bleed power, the blind spots, the leaks, the habits that quietly sabotage attraction before a word is even spoken. And the invitation is simple, but brutal. Stop leaking, start leading. That's where real strategy begins. There is no shortcut, no hack that overrides thousands of years of biology, no line, no trick, no persona that can fake inner authority for long. But there is a framework, and it starts with presence. Most men think attraction is built through performance, through entertaining, through proving, through overgiving. It isn't. It's built through dominance cues, calm posture, low reactivity, clear direction, not loud, not aggressive, centered. This isn't about being emotionally closed, it's about being complete. A man who is complete doesn't look to a woman to fill a hole, he offers wholeness, and that flips the entire dynamic. That is masculine frame, silent, steady, unmovable. No woman will ever sit you down and explain this to you. Not because she's hiding it, but because most of it happens below conscious language. That's why data matters. That's why evolutionary psychology matters. It drags the invisible into the light, so you stop guessing and start choosing. Every standard you drop erodes attraction. Every boundary you hold strengthens it. Not because she approves, but because your nervous system becomes coherent. The Stoics called this inner order, A man aligned with himself becomes a stable axis, and everything around an axis begins to rotate. You feel it first, then others do. Because the moment you stop orbiting women, something else begins to orbit you. Purpose, clarity, direction. You stop circling her. She starts circling a man who circles nothing but his mission. That's not a tactic. That's identity. That's development. And once built, no one can take it from you. If Harvard proved anything, it's this. Attraction was never random. You just weren't taught how to control the signal you were broadcasting. So now the question comes back to you. Are you still playing on her terms? Or are you ready to live on your own axis? No more guessing. No more waiting to be chosen. You've seen the pattern. Now the only thing left is action. If you're honest with yourself, you already know the mistake you keep repeating, and you already know the first correction you need to make. Let that be your line in the sand. If you stayed with me this far, it tells me something about you. You're not here to be entertained. You're here to sharpen yourself. So take this seriously. Commit. Share this with a man who's still asleep. And stay close, because this isn't content. It's a recalibration. Before you leave, I want to hear from you. Not in a generic way, in a real way. If this study changed how you see attraction, if it finally put words to patterns you've lived but couldn't explain, comment this exact phrase. Frame is the signal. Type it if you're starting to understand that attraction isn't about chasing, pleasing, or proving. It's about the frame you live in, the energy you carry, the authority you hold over yourself. I want to see how many men here are actually waking up to this. And now, don't break the chain. The video appearing on your screen right now goes even deeper into these dynamics, how power, silence, and emotional control shape desire at a level most men never see. Click it. This is where the understanding becomes lethal in clarity. If this content sharpened your perspective, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us. Because once you see how attraction really works, you can't unsee it.